we always like to start our meeting off by having everybody introduce themselves, so we'll start over here on the left.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Wynn. I'm the Director of Community Programs for Grace Health.
Hi, I'm Tammy Farmer, I'm with the Mount Advocate.
I'm John Sizemore. I came today because I heard Brother Tom speaking. I love Brother Tom. I was at Polk Lumber one time, Carlos said, John, said, he's like, Liam, also, Leggett line. He said, I can't get nobody to take care of that. I said, wait a minute. I said, hey, Tom, we got a guy who wants to talk with you. Carlos got on the phone. He said, he said, yeah, that, and the next day it was took care of. Carlos passed unexpectedly a few months ago. Every time I went to Polk Lumber, hey, John, I said, I really appreciate it. But that's how accessible Tom is. I really appreciate it.
Leonard Lester, pastor of the Bridge Community Church.
Tom Rutherford, Swan House, Weddings and Events.
Trent Poole, EKU, Mitchell Buchanan, KCDFC.
Ken Corso, Knox County Adult Education Program.
Zay Dolan, about
Reed Powers, Baptist Hill. Marcia Dixon, Barbara Teresa.
All houses of our areas.
Dawn McCoy, Eastern Kentucky Field Representative for the United States, Senator Mitch McConnell. Sarah Wilson, Union Commonwealth.
DJ Washington.
Leslie Atkins Howard, Director of Resource Development, Boys and Girls Club of Appalachia. Claudia Greenwood, Knox County.
Representative Tom Smith from the 86th District.
Charles Lovell, I'm your chamber president. So glad to have everybody here today. So we're gonna start off and we're gonna have Tom speak first, because he's headed to Frankfurt after he presents today. So Tom, glad to have you here, and thank you for all you did for our area. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. I apologize for last month. I actually scheduled with Claudia and then found out their committee started back. And so I get conflicted with some committee meetings, but I'm strong headed after we get done today. What I'd like to do is maybe give you a brief on our past session, give you maybe the high points and some things that happened, talk about a couple of things that I personally worked on. But mainly, before I get started, I want to tell Donna to let the leader know that he's in my prayers. You know, his health has been going up and down on him, but I can tell you this, there's never been a greater leader for not only the party, the Republican Party, but the Senate, on the values that we believe in here in this district. So I'm going to pass that on to him for me. I'm going to start off on a few of the budget items that we're able to work in. I want to first say that Senator Stivers is a good working partner for me. It doesn't hurt for him to be president of the Senate, have a gavel. It gives me a lot of flexibility on things that I put in. He supports, we support each other on legislation and work good together. What I'd like to do is go over some of this, and then at the end, if you have a few questions you'd like to ask, there is a few things that went through the budget that maybe you may seem controversial, mostly the health care with our Medicaid, when we redone Medicaid. But I want to go over that a little bit, so kind of counter what has been put out in public and let you know the legislative view of it. But some of the projects, one of them that was really important, the mayor brought to me. You know, for years we've had a notice for tornado sirens that would go off in our community. At one time we had 4 of them, and we got down to 1, and I think it made chatter instead of scream. And so we were fortunate enough, I got with the mayor and I said, listen, instead of just putting 3 or 4 here in the city, let's do the whole county. So what ended up happening is we put the funding in to put them in all these areas here in the city that captures quite a bit of area out towards Flat Lake and towards Grace. And then we put one at every fire department. We were thinking that's a centralized area that will get out into, now it may not cover 100% of the county, but if we get to 70 or 80% of the people, let them know that there's something going on that they need to be aware of, mostly tornado or heavy rains or flood or something. Anyway, it's a notification for EMS. total of about $1 million, for 3 fire departments to upgrade. So that was all in one package. We were able to put in $400,000 for the sensory park, the new park. And, that was a goal of the judge and the fiscal court. I thought that was great, having an autistic grandson, Charles, being involved with autism. I think that's going to be a great asset. There's not any around that I know of, and this will be a first that we'll be able to have our kids that fall on the spectrum have a playground they can go to that they understand. Some of the other items that we put in, as you know, and I'm sure you've probably talked about, we purchased property out Gillum Hill for an industrial site. It's 1,550 acres. About 300 of it is shovel ready, but we bought the whole mountain that goes from the 4-lane over to 229. And you'll say, well, why would you waste money on the excess? Well, I'm kind of one of those that looks ahead. We've got plenty of coal reserve on it. We can take a mountaintop removal off of it. We can take them and capture it for 600 or 700 acres and have money in the bank from the coal reserves. And so that's the kind of things I looked at. And the Beckley family that sold it to us, they gave it to us for $2.5 million below the appraised value. And I thought that was a great thing for their family to do. It enabled us to make the numbers work. And they were willing to do that and donate that to the county to purchase. This past session, I put $3.5 million in for sewage. It'll take the sewage to the industrial park. And that's, I call things a double whammy when you get 2 for 1. That means from Barberville all the way to Gillum Hill, the people that live on the 4-lane there will have access to sewage. And then we'll be able to branch off of that and go into more communities with the sewage. I really believe that that's our infrastructure need in the future. Water has been that, and we're up to about 99%, maybe at 100 now because of the last budget cycle we put more money where we've redone. If you understand the Flat Lick water, and when I say our team's Flat Lick, how bad it's been, you know, they had the service off the river, the intake, and it stayed down more than it stayed up. Had to have boiling water was probably 12 months out of the year, to be honest with you. We've converted that over to Barberville City water, and we're changing the lines out. We've been doing that over the last 6 years. We've been putting funding in to do that, and it's being done as you and I speak. And the good part about that is when you put main lines in every 500 or so feet, you have to put a fire hydrant by law. So that helps with their insurance. And so I look at that as another long-term positive for the county is to have clean drinking water. And we've got the best water coming out of Laurel Lake. Needs less any ingredients put in it or anything that goes in it. I think we're rated close to #1 in the state in water. And I haven't looked it up recently, but we rate high with our water supply. In saying that $3.5 million was put into the budget. I had a request from the Knox County Conservation District. It's an office that deals with our 4-H, our kids and foremen, and they had equipment that they used during the summer that they would let other farmers be able to rent out to use. Well, it's set outside up here at the USDA office year-round. And it's probably about 7 or 8 pieces of equipment that was there year-round and it was deteriorating. So I put in $500,000 for them to build a building for themselves. And what our agreement, really my goal was, and I told them, I want them to be able to pick up a couple of tractors and during the summer start teaching kids how to bale hay, how to put in gardens. And we've lost our farmers. And I don't know if you know that or not. The percentage of farmers has really gone down. And that really hurts our food supply as a nation, and mostly locally. I like to go to the farmer's market and fresh vegetables are out, and of course you can tell I like eating, but I like fresh vegetables. I really do. But those are some of the highlights on the one that I'll tell you is probably something that just kind of personal to me, again, is dealing with, autism, kids in the spectrum. We have what we call, a lot of people here support it. If you don't support, you know of it, it's a children's home here. And, believe it or not, I mean, I think it was in the sixties when it started, 50 years ago. Jay, you may know better than me, it's been here a long time. And they do a great job, you don't ever hear from them. But they actually take kids from around the state and they rehabilitate, get them back in the community. And one program that's kind of close to my heart, because I enjoy being around horses, is I found out that horse therapy is one of the main therapies for turning somebody around mentally and giving them access to things. And it's the animal aspect. And for some reason, an animal can sense that maybe my grandson is not the same as me. And I don't know how they do that, but they sense it. And so I put in $1.5 million for an arena, an indoor arena. They already have the program. They got 6 horses up there. They got 3 certified people that's been doing it for about 4 years now. But I wanted to build an indoor arena so we could do it year round, and they're going to teach across the United States a program to certify others to get into it. And I've hooked them up with the thoroughbred industry on retired race horses, so they'll be able to have access to horses. And homeowners like ourselves, once we're through racing, we like to find a good home for them. We don't charge anything, we just find a good farm for them to go to. I think this is a great program that I hope expands over the years. It's called High Chaparral, and it's already in place, and they're already doing a great job. But that gives us a facility to use locally, because we do have some cool horse people here that like to do the barrel racing, calf roping, things like that. And I'm hoping that Marshall with tourism, we can find a way to put a program together to utilize it and utilize the indoor facilities that's here in town. And they have agreed to use it for the public too. So that's kind of a thing that I'm excited about. 2 bills that I helped pass up there. One of them was called PGA Hope. And what it did was it gives our veterans the ability to go through a program, about a 6-week program. They get a card and they can play free at any state golf course. And you say, well, so what? I can tell you 22 veterans die a day of suicide, 22. I just seen that in the news statistic. And it's because they're not getting out and they're not intertwining with anybody. They're sitting in a place and they're isolated and their mind's going crazy on them. And so what this program done, and it was already existing, they came approached me last summer with it and asked me to look into getting it passed. It's called Plus One. They can get with a friend, go up here to Pineville and get outside and do something, play around the golf and get out of their house and do something. The only thing they pay for is a cart fee, and the reason that I put the cart fee on, it's minimal, it's like $5 or $6 per person. But the courses have to lease those golf carts, and I was getting their expense back. The other expense of taking divots up, they grow back by nature. But the exact expense was they did have to lease the fleet of cars, so I did pay for it that way. But the other bill that I passed dealt with kiosks. And I don't know if you ever seen a Bitcoin kiosk, but they were in Kentucky and about 500 located. And when you walked into a convenience store, it was sitting there like an ATM that said Bitcoin on it. And the problem with it was unregulated, and you could go in there with $10,000, $100,000, $500,000 in cash, put it in there, and transfer it anywhere in the world with no trace, no identification. And I started thinking to myself, who in the world, they want to buy Bitcoin, they go on their phone, or go on go on their computer and purchase Bitcoin. Why would they go to a convenience store? And so the only thing I could think of was foul play, just fraud. And then I started, when I filed the bill, I started having members come to me saying they're getting phone calls. Their grandparent just got hit for $10,000. They got a phone call, told them if they didn't go and transfer the money, they was going to lose their life insurance. And you say, well, they're not that crazy. Some seniors, and my dad was one of them when he got older, walked in the house and he was buying silver over the phone. And I asked him who he was buying from. He said, I don't know, but it's a good buy. I'm just saying they take advantage of those things. So what my bill done was it limited it to 1,000 a day. And also it identified whoever was putting the money in, you had to put your ID in. And within 30 days, one of the main companies took bankruptcy. So it told you that was how, and something else that caught my attention was an 18% fee. Now, again, I know sometimes we get in a financial crisis and we have to pay that on a credit card, or we have to pay that to get by for a little bit. But not to go voluntarily walk into a place, put 10,000 in, and pay $1,800 to do it. I mean, there was, all the red flags was up on it, but I did get it passed, and AARP was the supporter of it, and they took our bill and used it as a national bill to go around to other states to get it passed. I'd like to just touch on Medicaid just for a minute and then ask if there's any questions. And the reason I want to touch on Medicaid is because of what's being put out through the governor's office. And I want to start off by saying that Governor Sear and I get along fine. We have a good working relationship. We don't always agree on things, and this is one of the things that we don't agree on, is on how it's being put out. The governor has come out and put across the state. Do you remember last year when there was a letter sent out to our ads saying that there was no more money for senior meals and that they're broke? Well, the budget money that we put in there was what was requested. The difference was between the time that we budgeted, there's always this 2-year budget. The governor put out letters telling all the ads to take anybody that wanted a free meal. Well, you know there's going to be people voluntarily go by there and take a free meal, and it escalated the amount of people that we budgeted. It escalated more people into the program. Same way with Medicaid. If you remember during COVID, people that even had private insurance was notified you need to move over on Medicaid. Drop your insurance and get on Medicaid. We went from 650,000 to 1.5 million people in the state of Kentucky on Medicaid. Now, understand this. When that happened, we are responsible for paying for 20 or 30% of the state portion. Federal pays 70, let's say 75, we pay 25. That'd be really close. Don't never quote me on numbers. But anyway, we participate by putting up the state's portion. And what happened in Washington was Washington decided that we needed to go back to pre-COVID numbers. We need to get back under control of our Medicare and Medicaid, which was right. And so they made the adjustments. But when they make the adjustments, they pass it on to the states to administer. So when we received it, then we were told this is our block of money to deal with. Now, here's our vision on how to fix it was, we'll put the money in, and not only did we put the $6.1 billion of our budget, but we also put a total of $7.9 billion extra money in there with a reserve account of $250 million as a stopgap in case we hit the top number. Now, when he says we didn't budget Medicaid and he has to do a 4% cut across the board, that's his decision to make on the 4%, not ours. We budgeted the money to pay for the previous numbers we were given. If you ever do a budget, you budget what you just finished the year out on anticipated receipts for the next budget. That's how you do a budget. So that's all we have to go by. So we did that. And putting in the total of $7.9 billion from all the sources for this paid for everybody that was on it without a cut. But it stopped the increase in enrollment. So if the increase in enrollment keeps on, then there has to be a cut to pay for everybody that new people goes on. We feel like, and we pass a law too, that if you're an able-bodied worker, you go to work. And if you don't go to work, you have to fill out a form why you're not working. Because we believe in our caucus that everybody that's able to work should be working. Our program should be for those that can't, not for those who can. So, because we cannot sustain, it's our second cost in our budget is Medicaid, first is education. So it's our second biggest cost in our $34 billion budget is Medicaid. The other highlight on that was that out of all the things that we've done with it, I think the most important was, and when we did, it's not that we didn't take it up individually, we took it up as a single bill, Medicaid, to deal with everything, every part of it. I think the most important was first requiring those that don't need to be on it to find a way to be off. And now this doesn't say we kick them off. They can stay on as long as they're showing that they're trying to maintain, they're getting an education, or they're in a job training program, something showing that they're trying to move in the right direction and get off of it. They stay on. It's only ones those that don't reply back, don't shoot you the finger and says, I'm on it, it's mine. And we basically said that you're the one paying for it, and me. We're all paying for it. What we're trying to do is make it a responsible program and make it responsible for those that are on it. I can tell you this, that we gave the governor the flexibility in House Bill 2 to expand and to manage the programs. Just like I said on the food service last year, I sent them a letter and said, call us into session. It's going to cost you about $400,000 to have us there 3 days. And I said, you're looking for $4 million, and we gave $1 billion to family services. Surely you can find $4 million. And within 2 weeks, he found the $4 million and he called us into session. But that's what we have to deal with. And that's just the times we live in today. Again, I'm not being critical of the governor. I'm just saying, in politics, it seems like when an issue comes up, everybody posts up. They stiffen their back and they stay still and say, I'm not moving. And it's really not that difficult. Within 30 minutes, we can sit at a table and say, well, let's move this around. This program is not using up all the money, we'll move it. And so what he done last week, there was a critical situation happening in Louisville. They said they were going to close up and deal with mentally ill folks. And so he thought that he would torture us and took $400 million that we was going to use to revitalize the annex building. You know, we're redoing the Capitol. Well, we put money in there to start on the annex building. Everything is just eroding and it's all needs to be revamped. And so he took that money and put it in there, like it smacked us, and we get mad over it. Honestly, you won't find you'll see Stivers, or President Stivers, and you'll see Speaker Osborne sometimes come out with a public statement. But when they do, is to clarify for let the members take their back and let people know what's really happening. And so that we deal with that, and that's just part of the world we live in today, is you have people that, you can't fix a crisis unless you create it. And so if you're running and you're wanting to get attention on the news every week, you create a crisis, and then within a few weeks, you say you fixed it, and when the fix was already there. Does that make sense? That's what we deal with a lot. And I'm not saying just the governor, a lot of people in politics think so. The reason I don't is because I can't think that far ahead. But anyway, those are the things that I wanted to touch on, give you a few highlights on, and I'll be more than happy. Oh, there was one other thing that we've done, two other things that I'll touch on. I don't mean to be taking up too much time, but I filed a bill, I'm going to tell you I filed it, it's on gas tax. And the reason I filed it is because I really truly believe in policy. And I believe our roads need to be fixed by our road fund, not by our general fund. We put $1 billion of your general dollars, your tax dollars, into the roads. If our road fund was adjusted to where it should be, we would have been able to use that $1 billion for something else. Or lower your taxes like we're doing. Every time we hit a threshold, we drop your state taxes. We're down to 3.5 right now from 6. We only like 70 million hitting threshold. threshold this last time. Well, that would have done it if we didn't have to take these roads and fix our roads with our own state funds. We would hit that trigger, and you would have been at 3% on your next tax liability. But in saying that, I sit on the subcommittee for transportation, we write the budget. I'm also on regular transportation. And I've heard it for the last 3 or 4 years that our income from 15 years ago was this amount. And last year's income was this amount, and there was only a few million difference. Now you're talking about billions of dollars, and only a few million difference. I look back at what blacktop cost 15 years ago, and it was $40 a ton. Today it's $120. So, and you know the cost of the labor and the cost of everything else has gone up. So what it's done is it reduced us from doing hypothetically 500 miles down to about 250 miles. That's the reason you're seeing these roads not get the attention that they did years ago. Heck, we was putting blacktop down there every 2 or 3 years and recapping, keeping things fresh. I mean, I had to threaten them to get there in front of Walmart because it about broke their teeth 2 years ago. And I finally got them to put a cap on it. But you know who was being tortured the worst through this formula? We have what's called a formula. Years ago, whoever was the greatest inventor of all time, the legislator, decided it was best to put it as the price of gas. So when gas went down, the taxes went down. When gas went up, taxes went up. Well, 15 or 20 years ago, we anticipated fuel being high because there was a Green New Deal. It was going to $4.50, $5. You remember all those days? Well, we had flourished. We had plenty of money in it. And then as the policy changed and energy started going down, well, that's when we lost because the percentage was still the same as what we took out. Where surrounding states, they have like 32 to 35 cents a gallon. We have a percentage. And so all my bill done was lock it in. And then what it would do is it would increase by what we had lost, which was 10 cents. And a penny is $30 million, so 300 million of what we had lost. I was going to pick up through 10 cents, 5 cents the first year, 5 cents. First thing I heard was you're on 20-something% increase in taxes. I said, wait a minute now, going from 250 to 255, that's like 2 cents. 2%. And then the next year is like 1.8%. I don't know where they get that. It doesn't matter where they get their math, it's who's fighting for it. So I just started fighting the battle, and I said, listen, I'm not fighting over this. Matter of fact, when I posted it, I said, it's not gonna pass, but we're gonna have to address it. Because here's the final thing I wanna tell you. Who's hurting is your local governments. Knox County just got a letter about 2 months ago saying that their local fund that comes in is losing $300,000 this year out of the 1.4. So that $300,000 is a lot of money to them, and that's a lot of roads just to get resurfaced. Not talking about the 100 miles of gravel. So I got with the chairman and I said, well, we've got to do something. And they did appreciate me filing the bill. They knew it was unpopular, but at least it became a discussion. We have to change the formula. We're going to have to do something. And we ended up having the counties, the fiscal court, went out and turned in roads from all over the county. And we told them to turn in all the ones that they thought needed to be addressed. Knox County turned in 24 roads, and about 6 of them were rated a 10, which is the worst. And that's usually the ones we try to address 1 or 2 of those, and in the budget. Well, we ended up not only doing all those, we did the 9s and the 8s. It gave us 24 roads in Knox County. It was around $2 million. And that's really going to help some people next year. I know Singing Creek got like 6 of them. It's going to make a difference to our county. You'll start seeing some improvement in the county situation. The other thing I want to talk about before I sit down is House Bill 1. And House Bill 1, again, it was put out that it was for private schools, and we were going to take your tax dollars and fund private schools. First of all, let me tell you, I'm not against private schools. I'm just a public school supporter. I believe that that's where my kids go to in the county. That's what our county is structured for. And the Constitution tells me that I'll provide children an education. And I took an oath to follow the Constitution. if somebody wants to build a private school, I think they need to figure it out on their own, not through public dollars. So House Bill 1 came from Trump, and it's an education bill, and it's probably one of the best funded bills I've ever seen in my life. And here's the reason why. You can set up what they call an SGO, and that's somebody that handles it. And if I want to give $1,700 to Union, I want to give $1,700 to Barberville City, is for education. I can write a check to Barberville City through the SGO and say I want it to go to Barberville City School. And I can even put a name on it as a scholarship. I can put Ellie, one of my granddaughters, as a scholarship. I can write $1,700 per year. And you say, well, why is that an advantage to you? Because when I do my taxes, and let's say I've got a $10,000 obligation to the federal government, at the bottom I take off $1,700 direct off of my payment to the government and write a check to the school. That's the best deduction I've ever seen in my life, is a direct contribution from your taxes. And you say, well, that's for the rich. I don't know any people making $30,000 a year that don't at least have $4,000 or $5,000 obligation to taxes. So that's $1,700. Let's just say they owe $2,000. They write a $1,700 or $300 check to the federal government and $1,700 to the school. I think that's great policy, and I'm hoping that it kicks off good in our area, because teachers can write a $1,700 check back to their school and get it off their taxes. So it's everybody that has tax liability that can write that check to kids, and it can be used for tutoring, for school supplies, for anything that has to do with that child in education is what it can be used for. So anyway, I was excited about that bill, and again, it was portrayed as against public schools, but how can it be against public schools when you can write it to them? It's just that they're upset because you can write it to a private too, and honestly, again, I'm not against private schools. Some of them, it's an advantage for them. I will say that I send mine to the public school, and they've done a great job with my grandkids and my kids, and that's where my efforts are put, is for public schools. But in saying that, has anybody got anything they'd like to ask or follow up on? And I'll be more than happy to answer it. I'm not trying to take up boys and girls' time. They're a great organization that I support.
That bill you were just talking about, House Bill 1, is there a cap at $1,700?
It's $1,700 max. Yeah. I don't know where they come up with that number. It's just, it was wrote into the federal guidelines. If we didn't adopt it, let's just say we just ignored it and said that we don't care, and Indiana done it, or say Tennessee done it, I could write a check to a school in Tennessee and they get the $1,700. As long as they've got a manager, which is an SGO set up, that handles the money and files the paperwork on it.
So the school sets up the SGO? is that right?
Anybody, you can set up an
Okay.
SGO. Anybody can set it up, and it pays 10% admin fee. Anybody can, but you have to get certified and you gotta get approved. And once you take on that obligation, then it's up to you to file paperwork to the federal government every year showing who gave to them, so they can match it up with those people's their tax forms. Does that make sense? It's really simple.
Sounds awesome.
But it is awesome. I mean, my first thought was, Barberville City had 100 people do it. I mean, $170,000 goes a long ways in a program. And if they had 200, I mean, you can see how it would multiply. Then you get a district like Corbin, they're liable to have 500 people do it a year, and take advantage of it. Get almost, $1 million out of it per year.
When does that go into effect?
It's in effect July 1.
Do you have any SGOs in this area?
I don't know if anybody, I've not called to see if anybody's picked up on it. Actually, Claudia, it's come out, so I'm looking for them, when they become an SGO, they'll probably advertise that they are, and that they can handle that for anybody that wants to give. It's still a stigma because people don't understand. When you think of tax credit, you think, well, I can get a credit for this, but it's only 60% at the end of the day per dollar, or 30% per dollar, depending on your income, is how it is based on tax credits. This is a direct tax deduction. It's not a tax credit, it's a tax deduction. And
do you have to give it in the community that you're in?
You can give it to Nebraska, you can give it to Alaska, but you only
But
give
you can
one.
live in Laurel County and give
Yeah.
Clay County.
Anybody that's an SGO approved. Yeah, and I'm sure Laurel County will set up SGOs. I mean, I look for these schools and say, here another school's doing it, and they're raising money, they'll get one developed pretty fast. And my daughter looked into it, said it's really not a lot of paperwork to do. I think it's,
See, Grace Hills, you can do one in every community that you're already in and do admin fees and all of your communities.
yeah, I think that anybody that's structured already with administrative services, it would be good for them to be involved, like you said, in the community. And thank you, and ARH, thank you, Baptist. I really appreciate what you guys do in our area so far as healthcare. And this is the truth, I never hear any complaints, which means that you're doing good. And, but I do appreciate your investment in the area and the growth and what you're doing for healthcare. Anybody else?
Tom, I have a whole bunch of questions, but I know that time will allow, but, just, clarification, that's 1,700? The Trump administration was full of 17s, because that's talking about 17th letter of the alphabet, that's Q.
Oh.
So it's full of Q. Okay. Couple of
I will
questions.
take your word for that.
All right. Couple of questions I have. You were talking about the water for our county and so forth, and that's great. At City Council a couple of times back, we asked the question of our water treatment, if we still have fluoride in our water. And they said, yeah, the state won't let us take it out. And with all the dangers of fluoride coming to the front, we asked, have there been investigations on it and so forth, and found out that the state legislature, the House, has passed a bill 2 times to take it out of our water system, but the Senate won't even look at it. Well, why won't the Senate look at it? And a follow-up question is, well, I've got a couple of them, but I'm gonna take that one first, and if we got any time.
Well, I will say, we have passed it, two sessions in a row. I did my due diligence, I called the water plants, asked them their opinion on it. They didn't take a direct pro or con, they just said that it would be, taking it out would not be a detriment to the area, it probably may be a positive because of the handling of the fluoride is toxic, and it's got a lot of negatives to it. Of course, I got 2 dentists in my family, I asked them, they said it'd be crazy to take it out, so you get difference of opinions on it, but at the end of the day, I followed my local water district and saying there would be some savings to them, they didn't see where it was that great of a benefit.
Well, why is the Senate not
Well, I can tell you why on a lot of bills that we pass. Of course, we think we pass great bills, and they all should be approved in the Senate. Senate does the same thing. But out of 1,600 bills, or 1,300 bills that was filed, only about 200 came along. Somebody over there is not for it, and so that's what happens in a caucus meeting. When it's not a top priority, I can tell you fluoride is not a top priority when we go into session up there. To some it would be, but it's not really in our caucus meetings. There's somebody probably in leadership that says they don't think it's right to take it out. Would be my opinion. You can ask President Stivers that, he can know more about their side.
4 states have passed the Save America Act. Have we taken it up in our legislature?
You know, the worst thing that came out of, now I'm gonna give you my opinion. The worst thing that came out of our bill that we put together to redo elections was the fact that we left in paper ballots and we left in 45-day voting. And they call that 45-day absentee. But the difference is, during COVID, I understood it because people didn't get out of the house. So they were mailed their ballot to their house by is sent to their house. Somebody else, their brother, sister, friend, cousin, whoever, can pick it up and take it to a box, courthouse, and drop it in. To me, that leaves a lot of opportunities for things that aren't good. Well, when we redone the bill, we kept that in there. So there's still 45-day voting, by just getting on your phone and ordering the ballot and requesting it. I would prefer going back to the old absentee, where you filled out an application, sent it in. They would send you, after the application and verified you, they would send you the ballot, and then you mail the ballot in. That gave 2 areas to monitor it. And then they matched up the signature with the outside envelope of the ballot. So there's a lot more scrutiny to it. The fear is this, and I'm one of those that can raise my hand and say that President Trump got screwed out of the election. I really believe he did. Somebody else will say, no, he didn't. When you tell me that Pennsylvania's got a truckload of them, and they're already voted in their paper ballots and they're shipping them, there's a problem. I just read this week in the news, they found 900,000 again, 500,000 in a state that were illegally voted. So I think there's too much opportunity in these paper ballots. It is convenient, and do I see it changing anytime soon? I think that's up to, again, the president's pushing it awful hard. The state, they were content with what law we passed. I tried to question them on it, and Leonard, I'll say this. The reasoning was, they said, well, you have to fall into 10 categories to be able to vote, absentee. One of them was sick. Well, how are you gonna know 45 days before election you're gonna be sick on election day? The other is age. Well, it doesn't put the age in. I mean, we leave it so wide open for there to be, I'm gonna call it fraud. It is fraudulent to cast an illegal ballot. For me to vote you, that's fraud. And so I'm just for stricter elections. I think it should be one vote, one person. I believe you should be a citizen of the United States and vote in America. That's just me. Everybody's entitled to their opinion and what their stance is.
One more quickly, and that is, a lot of concern, regarding tick-borne illnesses. Two of the folks over at Senior Citizens, Alpha-Gal, my grandson had Alpha-Gal. We lost a magistrate to a tick-borne illness a few years ago. Farmers are finding tick boxes that have been dropped from helicopters and planes and things on our farms. With these very, very serious illnesses, all of which, as far as I understand, have patents to them, which isn't a natural issue. So, has our legislature addressed this threat to our, I mean, you can't work in your farm, you can't go hiking, all kinds of things put you in quite lethal danger with these particular things.
Yeah, I
You got anything to say on that?
I can tell you that ticks have not been brought up. Brought up catfish, we brought up every animal there is, but ticks is not mentioned yet. Seeding, sky seeding, cloud seeding, was brought up the last session, we voted to outlaw it. But even the sponsor who proposed it said that it's banned in Kentucky already, and that we don't have it. I just don't know how do you account for 20 lines going through the sky. I don't, listen, Leonard, our government, we have to have some confidence in our government. I'm not going to question them in public, but as far as the ticks are concerned, that's a point that I'll take to Frankfurt. I didn't know that they had boxes they was dropping off to, to catch them or do whatever they're doing.
No, there's seeding.
They're seeding them. Well, again, I have not heard that, but I sure don't care to look into it, because I did support the cloud seeding that I didn't even know existed. A lot of things, Forever Chemicals, I didn't know nothing about them until a few years ago. There's a lot of things out there. If you want to get scared to death, we can talk about all that kind of stuff. It's the security of not living in America, but there is things going on that's being addressed. I'm not saying I've got any top secret information, we don't have them kind of rooms in Frankfurt. What you know is, like me, I pick up what I read and what I see out there. Anybody got anything else? I'll go ahead, Jim.
Just one real quick, but you said something I thought was very important, with all the stuff that's going on, and you talked about confidence in our government. And I think the Kentucky Supreme Court recently made a ruling that has opened the legislature, our counties, our cities, all our government agencies in Kentucky, have always for 40, 50 years had open meetings, open records, everything's been open to the public. And I think that's a good precedent. Kentucky's had some of the best, and Senator Stivers has written some really good legislation in the past to keep that going. But the Supreme Court just ruled back a few months ago that legislators or anybody that's a local government official or a local official in the state of Kentucky, what they say on that personal cell phone is no longer public information.
Right.
And the Supreme Court said, well, it may not be the right thing, but that's the way the law is in Kentucky as we interpret it, because they overrode 2 other courts to do that.
Yeah.
And they said, legislature, fix this.
Yeah.
So what is the legislative plan to fix that and to keep the Kentucky public records open to the public, and the Kentucky public meetings open to the public, and keep people from doing everything private on their cell phones? Because you and I both know, if confidence in government goes down much further, we'll have a problem.
Well, I can tell you why I use my private cell phone, because I can't afford 2 of them. It's $200 a month to keep one. If they provided us a government cell phone, I think that should be public record. If they provided it to us, I think my private, should be private, same as yours. If you're talking about open records, I'll tell you where you can help yourself, because we talk about it every session, it always comes up, and you tell me, beware of this is happening. The biggest problem that we have right now, Jay, is somebody gets mad like they do in London, and then they go request 500 to 1,000 sheets of paper, and then they don't want to pay for it, or they only want to pay $10 for it. And it took somebody 8 hours to compile it, and, $20 worth of paper. If you ever come with a bill that protects what you want, but also costs those that are frivolous, that just wants to be pulling information, if they'll never use a report or they'll never use the paper, it's not for public use. If you come up with something like that, you're gonna have open ears. Because what we hear is the complaints and the cost on people coming to the local officials and requesting all this stuff that they never use. And they have to spend their time, researching it and getting it. And I don't wanna charge somebody $1 a page, for, if they need 25 pages to do a story. That's not right. But, would it be for licensed media, that they have access to certain, amounts of information? It may be something that's reasonable, that instead of somebody walking off the street and filing an open record request, and you haven't given 1,200 pieces of paper that they never use.
My concern is not so much open records, because I think you're right. We
Yeah.
work with the League, Kentucky Press Association's worked with the League of Cities to say, hey, we're with you on that.
Yeah.
And KPA and League of Cities and KCO all came together on a bill this year that passed through the House Committee, passed the Senate completely, no negative votes. Leadership in the House never got around to taking it up, so we'll deal with that as a leadership issue, that's not your problem.
Yeah.
But when you tell us that, hey, what I got on my personal cell phone is personal, I agree, I don't wanna know what you're talking to your daughter, or your kids, or what you've got to pick up from the store for your wife, that's your business, and we shouldn't have any involvement in it. But to say that you and Robert Stivers and 6 senators can't get together with 5 or 6 other legislators, do a conference call on your phones and work the agenda, then hang up and say, well, sorry guys, that was all private.
Yeah.
That's bull.
Yeah.
And I know you guys don't want to be perceived as doing that,
Yeah.
but the current law puts you in that disadvantage. So the legislature's gonna have to fix what the Supreme Court screwed up. And I know we don't have, we as a public, and we as a media, don't have a need to get in your private business, and it should.
One way of fixing that is, and we do have those type of phone calls, is that they have to be pre-recorded and they have to be accessible to, if they're dealing with government issues. You can get somebody to file that, and I'm sure it'll go through. I think it's the fact of getting into a personal cell phone that eliminates the ability to get anything like that done. And again, it's just, you wouldn't want yours publicly used every day. And honestly, guys, sometimes you try to put a politician you put them in a different category, but they're still human, and we still have human lives, and we still have ups and downs like everybody else, and we deal with a lot of personal matters that shouldn't be public. And you should know what I'm doing as your legislator, and what decisions I made, or what conversations I've had. I have no problem repeating what I said, even just like I opened up that I filed a gas tax, very unpopular. Somebody said, well, that'll beat you. I don't file things worried about winning and losing. I worry because it's not good policy. And if we sit down and have 10 minutes, you would agree with where the funds should come from. Any reasonable person would say the roads need to be fixed by the road fund. And we need the road fund to fix them. Not $1 billion out of general funds that could be used for Medicaid, for patching Medicaid, or schools, or whatever. General fund dollars is wide open. You can use it for anything. I've taken up too much of your guys' time, but thank you for listening. And I hope there was a few things that was informative to you. I'm always accessible. You can call the legislative line and leave a message, and I'll call you back. Other than that, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Tom, thank you very much for your time today and the information.
I'll leave that for Jay.
Leslie's agreed to come back at another meeting. We're glad to always hear from Tom and get an update. So I know she did pass out the annual report from Boys and Girls Club of Appalachia, so please take that with you today just to learn more about the different sites and programs they have going on. Just a couple of things. The minutes and treasurer's report are on file. If you want to see a copy, reach out to Claudia. We are in a good financial position, so again, something that we can report in our next meeting. There's announcements listed on the agenda. Announcements from the community. Did Marcia have to leave?
She did.
Okay. Well,
There's lots of things going on this week.
there's a lot of things going on. You can go to the tourism website to see all the things coming up this week and through the weekend holiday. Also, just if anybody from your business wants to participate in the upcoming Leadership Tri-County class for 26, 27, applications are now open and that can be seen and obtained on the Leadership Tri-County website. Our next meeting is July 28th at noon, and we'll be at Barberville Health and Rehab. Not here, Barberville Health and Rehab, but Claudia will send out notices about that. One thing that's coming up, and there's also a flyer on your table. Tomorrow, here on the Union campus at 10 a.m. is a Liberty Tree dedication and Barberville Home Guard flag unveiling. Claudia, you want to make something? I know Sarah stepped out. You want to say anything about that?
This project was actually begun with the Kentucky DAR. We have partnered with the Forestry Department, Kentucky Forestry Department, and the Kentucky Historical Society. And a tulip poplar tree, which is our Kentucky state tree, is being planted in every Kentucky county. And that will be planted tomorrow here at Union College on their campus on the front lawn. We'd love for you to come if you can. And we also will have the unveiling of the flag, that was the Civil War flag, that the Barberville Junior Women's Club paid thousands of dollars to have it restored, and it will be unveiled tomorrow as well. Hope you can come.
10 o'clock tomorrow. Prayer on the square tomorrow night also. And a lot of things coming up for the holiday this week and through the weekend. So please go to the Barberville Tourism web page and Facebook page to see all those things that are going on. Any announcements from the audience? Again, July 28th, noon at Barbarell Health and Rehab. Everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July, and we are adjourned. Thank you all.